Welcome back, everybody. So in the last episode, I pretty much tore up the entire car. In this episode, we're going to be cutting out the sections that need to be replaced, and we're going to start repairing some of those sections as well. So this is pretty much where we're at. I pretty much took out everything underneath the car, and the reason why we're doing this is because of stuff like this. So this area's got to get cut apart, repatched and repaired. Everything underneath here needs to be redone, so I'm thinking I'm going to basically remove this entire panel. And then over on this side, you kind of have the same deal. There was some repairs done at some point, but obviously this is not the best way to do it. And another thing that they did here is there's a lot of Bondo and tar. None of this is metal, so this has been patched over and over. So same thing here. We're probably going to section this whole area out and redo this. Well, that's really annoying. Alright, so this is a little tough to see, but this car's got so much Bondo in this whole area that the plasma cutter can't even cut through it. So I'm either going to have to like grind through all that and then plasma cut it out, or I might just use these zip discs. So all the other areas seem to be pretty easy to cut through, but as soon as you reach these areas over here, it is literally just packed with Bondo, which is exactly why we're doing this job here. Alright, it's all pretty much plasma cut. Now all we have to do is crack open some of these little areas, and we'll be able to get this off in no time. And I can already see there in fact is 2 layers of floor in here. Plasma cutter can't cut 2 layers deep, so I'm resorting to this guy. Alright, so now we can see here, this is the passenger side, and we can see here, it's double layered, and that's packed with Bondo here, and that's why the plasma cutter was having a really hard time getting through this. Let's just pretend that this wasn't here. Hole, that's my second hole over here, roughly lined up, and very simple, just getting a clean straight line, and then we're gonna basically run it all the way across to that side. Very, very nice and perfect. So there's portions of these floors that weren't even welded. They were pretty much just laid on there, and they were like sealed with just Bondo and stuff. So, yep. So you can kind of see what was done here. They basically used the Bondo originally to hold that top sheet that they just laid on there. And that's what all this extra Bondo inside here is. So we're going to basically grind all this down nice and clean, remove all this extra debris here, and then this will be a nice surface to start welding on because it's still solid. There's no holes through this or anything. It's still pretty clean, it's still workable, and then we're just going to have to deal with some areas up here of splitting that I'm going to address here as well. Okay, so I'm at a point Sorry. Okay, so I'm at a point now where I can start really sharpening up some of the edges that I'm going to start cutting here. And the way I'm doing this is because we're not going all the way back with the brand new floors, I basically don't need this back section. So I've marked off the areas where the more precise cuts need to be done. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick plasma cut across here just to get this section out. That way I can kind of start to line it up, and then I'm going to see where this lines up on this section, and then I can start to mark out where I'm going to be cutting. So that's going to be my next task here. So we can get an idea of what this is starting to look like now. And I've kind of got this stuff more or less lined up. You can see how much of an overlap I put. It's about maybe 3/4 of an inch or about 1/2 an inch or so that it overlaps the original skin in here. And so what I'm going to do is basically press all these down when I'm ready to weld and just tack like a decent seam over here, small seam, and then just continue stitching all the way across. And then this will all get filled in with some filler. And as for the sides over here, I'm basically going to finish cleaning all this stuff up and get it prepped for welding, and should have these floors done sooner than I thought. So I've pretty much marked off the area where the new floors are lining up with. So we're going to clean up this area. I'm going to remove all this tape and start grinding up all the sections that are going to start getting cleaned up and welded up. So time to make a little bit of noise. Alright, so one thing I almost forgot is the driver's side floor panel originally is supposed to come with a bracket for your e-brake over here, and so it doesn't come with it with the new floor, and I couldn't find a replacement bracket. So what I'm going to do is take the original bracket, which I've managed to plasma cut off the original floor, and I'm just going to clean all this stuff up, remove it, and I'm going to be able to reuse this bracket because the actual metal is in good shape. It's just a little bit dirty, so you just got to deal with some of this. Alright, so now that all the nasty work is done, I'm pretty much ready to just clean up all the welds, make sure there's no debris on it, and then just basically prep it so that I can finally put these floors in and finish up this whole inside section. So one of the things I'm going to be doing here is with these floors and some of the parts inside here is there's parts that are going to be exposed because we need to weld them. But obviously if we leave them exposed in the long run, they're going to collect rust. So one of the things that I'm going to be using is this Steel It paint. So it's basically a paint that's going to go and cover up this whole section, and it's weldable. So it applies a coat, you know, onto the steel, but that coat won't burn off when you start welding it. So this will just cover up some of these areas, and it'll protect it once the welds are complete in the future. So areas like this, this area is obviously going to be welded, but if you just have the regular paint on there, it'll burn right through, and then you'll just have exposed steel or weld. So this is one of the areas where you can use that, and I've already started doing it along here because this area is also going to get welded as well. This is called butt welding. Okay, so now that all the welding is done and pretty much all the... Stop yelling. Alright, so now that pretty much all the welding is done and the grinding is pretty much cleaned up most of the nasty welds, what I'm going to have to do is cover up as much of this car as I can, because I'm about to basically wire brush as much of the underneath of the body and the interior as I can, because we're going to be giving it a decent new coat of paint for the underbody. And so I pretty much picked up some plastic sheeting, and we're just going to tape it around the body of the car underneath just to contain all the debris inside. All right, so this should contain the mess under here that I'm about to make. So let's start grinding and cutting.